Okay, it's live now. It's live.
It
It's
is.
on. It just popped up. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Great.
You
So
want to?
welcome, everyone. Well, special welcome to Ms. Sweeney, who's joining us today, and also Mary's on. I wanted to say hello. Before we start, I wanted to motion the agenda with a change, moving 9.4 to the first item on the agenda. We could get a motion on with that change.
You have a motion?
Thank you, Nelson.
Second. I
Thank
think,
you, Joanne.
Israel, I think that's 9.8.
Yes.
It is 9.8.
Yes? Sorry, 9.8? Okay.
Okay.
All right, all those in favor of the agenda changing 9.8 to the top? Aye?
Aye.
All right. Neil, you'd like to lead us in the pledge today?
You bet. Everybody, please rise. Hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance to
Pledge
the
allegiance
flag of the United
to the
States of
flag
America
of the
and
United
to
States
the republic
and to the
one
republic
nation,
for which it stands,
under God,
with
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hopefully that wasn't as confusing.
Well, our intentions were great.
All right. From the public, Wendy, do we have any?
let me check, please. One moment. At this time, I have no public comments being offered.
All right, thank you very much. Then I think we should, right, Blake, move to 9.8?
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
So I want to first just publicly thank Dorothy and I'm sure board members here who've had probably more experience than I had with Dorothy, but you know, in the 12, 13 years that I've had the pleasure of working with Dorothy, you know, you've been a consummate professional. You've been, you know, an amazing partner to the community of Wise-Burn and really an icon in the community. So I thank you. And I do want to share and read a resolution that will be adopted by the board. So I'm going to read that publicly for you, Dorothy. But I do personally thank you for your service and just for being a friend and a colleague for many years. So thank you.
Thank you.
So this is a resolution honoring Dorothy M. Sweeney for 31 years of service in the Wise-Burn Unified School District. It's resolution number 19-20.20. Those employees who have devoted a very significant part of their work life to the Wise-Burn Unified School District deserve special recognition. Wise-Burn has changed greatly over the past 31 years, and this change has brought many challenges to our employees. Commendations are in order for those individuals who have led this change and affected the lives of our students and staff. Whereas, in rising to meet the challenges of providing for our students, Dorothy Sweeney has for 31 years devoted her career as a classroom teacher for the children of the Wise-Burn Unified School District at Juan Cabrillo Elementary School and Peter Burnett Elementary School. And whereas Dorothy Sweeney has continuously throughout her career been a strong supporter of Wise-Burn through her dedication and hard work as a partner teacher, homework club advisor, teacher for science and math textbook adoptions, teacher in charge, site leadership team member, PAR panel team member, math intervention teacher, PLC coach, master teacher, teaching American history grant teacher, and as a coach and mentor. And whereas Dorothy Sweeney has brought honor and prestige to Wise-Burn Unified School District through her work with the Burnett staff to attain California Distinguished School Status, Honor Roll School Status level. And whereas Dorothy Sweeney has been aptly described by her administrators as kind, compassionate, collaborative, a leader, supportive, enthusiastic, conscientious, a superstar, highly respected, caring, and a gifted educator. And whereas Dorothy Sweeney has always been a champion of the ideal to develop and educate the whole child, academically, socially, physically, ethically, and spiritually, and to treat all children and families with sensitivity and respect. Therefore, Let it be resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Wiseburn Unified School District publicly commends and recognizes Mrs. Dorothy M. Sweeney for her years of dedication to the children, parents, and staff members of the Wiseburn Unified School District.
Oh. 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 I forgot a lot of those things. Oh. I am overwhelmed, and I had to write something down to say because otherwise I'd babble, and I didn't want to do that today. So I wrote something down, not too long, but I just I'm trying to collect my thoughts. So first of all, thank you. It's quite an honor. And I just want to say, boy, do I know how to make an exit. Nothing traditional. Never in a million years could I have envisioned the last few months of my career ending like this. Honestly, it's been very difficult to wrap my brain around, but here we are within 1 month of my retirement date. A month from yesterday, sorry. But reality started to set in. But I've been a member of the Wiseburn community in 2 different capacities. I've been a resident since 1984. I've been a Wiseburn parent. All 3 of my children have been Wiseburn educated to K-8. All of them are college graduates, and my eldest just earned her master's in art therapy from LMU on Sunday. But I know the foundation for their success started when they stepped foot in Cabrillo in kindergarten. But I've been a Wiseburn educator since June of 1988, and I've taught 5th grade in 2 schools, and I counted 11 principals. So my separating from that role is going to be the hardest. People keep telling me how lucky I am to be able to retire. I know that's true, but I think I'm lucky for a lot of other reasons. My daughter wrote a post on Mother's Day that said I had shown her that it was a blessing to love what you do so much that doesn't seem like a job. Just so you know, I'm making my children happy right now because I'm starting to cry, and they knew I would. So she put into words what I was feeling. It's been an honor being a teacher in Wiseburn. I have been blessed to work in a district that allowed me to encourage me to grow as an educator, a learner, a leader, and a person. I've loved my job in both the highs and the low years. I've loved working with, and I will really miss the talented people, and many of whom are lifelong friends in my school and those throughout the district and administration from my first year until now. I'm so grateful to the support I have felt, even in my darkest of times. I have enjoyed getting to know the wonderful Wiseburn families, but most importantly, I have loved working with my 5th graders. That's the part I'll miss the most. Connecting with them and feeling like I make a difference, because they certainly made a difference to me. I've been here so long. I've had the children of former students. I'm getting out before I have the grandchildren. I'm still in touch with some of my students from even my earliest classes and revel in their successes. And I even have a former student on my team who was a valued colleague and friend. How lucky am I to have that career? So thanks for this opportunity to speak to you, and thank you for this honor. I look forward to the next chapter of my life, and I'll continue to watch Wiseburn further adventures, but now like it all started as a resident. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothy, so much. Thank you for, 31 years, did you say? Wow.
1988. No.
Amazing. I know I've known you for over 21, and they've all been great years.
Oh,
Nothing but things from the kids, from my sons, from the community members, the parents. Everybody raves about you, Dorothy. We're gonna miss you very much.
That's nice. Thank you. That's nice. Thank you. Well, thank you for this. Something I'll treasure. Thanks.
I hope to see you as we're walking around Wiseburn.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll try not to walk around the school on the first day and make it very obvious I'm not working, but I won't rub it in.
Dorothy, I'd like to-
Thanks.
All right, Blake, you'll deliver that proclamation to her?
Yeah, thank you. Okay,
Thank you,
Dorothy, can
Dorothy.
you stay on for
Thanks,
a
Dorothy.
little
Thank
bit
you.
longer?
I'm sorry.
Are you,
Okay.
Dorothy, I just wanted to say a few comments as well. I wanted to say
Sure.
thank you for everything you've done for our students. As you know, you were the teacher of two of my boys, Eric and Benny. So I owe you a huge debt of gratitude. Thank you very much for doing such a wonderful job with both of them. Like you said earlier, in the good times and in the not so good times, I know you helped them through some challenges as well. Eric is doing really well now at UC Santa Barbara, and Benny is doing really well in the 11th grade at Da Vinci. And I wanted to say thank you because you were a key part of that as their 5th grade teacher. So thank you for everything that you've done
Thank
for
you.
all our students in Wiseburn,
Thank
in
you.
particular for my boys. Thank you. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks.
Enjoy, Dorothy. Enjoy every second of it.
Oh, yeah.
I plan to.
You
As
earned
soon as I
every
can get
second.
where I will.
Along.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry?
Hey, you, Dorothy.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Dorothy.
Bye-bye.
All right, moving on. We're gonna go
Dorothy.
from the board.
Mr. President, are we going to vote on the resolution?
Oh, yeah.
I think we need to
Thank you,
vote on the
Mr.
resolution, Israel.
Got it.
I will move to
So we have a
approve.
motion. Did we get a motion?
We did that already. We motioned
Okay.
and seconded. Now we just need to
All
vote.
right.
We did.
All those in
I
favor?
Aye.
believe we motioned to move it.
Right.
Yeah,
We-
so,
we should-
so let's
Okay.
motion again, please.
I'll
Okay.
move to approve.
Thank you, Roger.
I will
Second.
second. I will second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And
All
just a
right.
reminder too that we're, I believe we have to do roll call vote. Sorry about that.
How about if we all just wave yes?
Yes.
Up or
okay.
down?
I will call it out. Okay, just wave. Mr. Banuelos, Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Caneda, Mr. Martinez, and Mr. Mora. Thank you.
All right, from the board, Neil.
I have a couple prepared remarks I was just shared for the team and the board, and just acknowledging, and our teachers and our community, that this is a challenging time, an uncomfortable and frightening time filled with unknowns. And I want to first acknowledge that. Many of our families are really facing difficult times, and teachers have been asked to move from everyday heroes to truly superheroes. Challenging, yes. But before we go too far down this rabbit hole of negativity, I also want to say and encourage us to see this as a time of opportunity. I know that may seem far, but bear with me. So many of you are doing this at all levels, and let me share how appreciative I am, because have you ever known anyone to accomplish anything of any measure with a negative attitude? Of course not. We can do this, and we can come out stronger than before, and we're facing some very difficult days and challenges and decisions ahead. So how do we do this? Well, I ask and invite the board, the cabinet, the teachers, and again, our entire Wiseburn community to live in possibility. We're at our best when we're imagining, dreaming, thinking of what can be. We're open, we're optimistic, we're even excited. Possibility never disappoints. Ben Zander in his book, The Art of Possibility, reminds us that it's all invented. Our current models, practices, methods were all invented, created, and now accepted as norms. But they're not immutable. They're not unchangeable. I also want to emphasize, I'm not trying to minimize the massive challenges now and ahead. These are difficult times. I'm also not suggesting we blow up or change anything just to change it. That doesn't serve the greater good. But I am saying that since the reality around us has changed, it's incumbent upon us to continue to be open to change. And I know so many of us are doing that. I ask us all to embrace it. To maybe even understand that continuous change, adaptability, and innovation is the new norm. The former CEO of Blockbuster Video said, when the rate of external change exceeds the rate of internal change, disaster is imminent. When the rate of external change exceeds the rate of internal change, disaster is imminent. But the reverse is also true. When we recognize we urgently need to shift our way of thinking and doing business, of doing education, to sustain our relevance and competitiveness in our rapidly changing marketplace, when we recognize it's all invented and has been in the first place, then we can in fact reinvent, and opportunity abounds. I believe now is such a time, a difficult time, a scary time, yes. But as such, it's more important than ever that we be open to reinventing, to live in possibility, to bring empathy, creativity, and a mindset open to change. And let me again acknowledge there's some excellent practices from the past that should be carried forward, some new ones that are being invented now and being created, and likely more in the future. So it's a challenge upon all of us to be leaders, to take this opportunity and live into possibility, because as we move into planning, budgeting, instruction for the rest of the year and the new year ahead, I ask we all work together to continue to be flexible, adaptable, and innovative, to live in possibility. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Neil. Some profound words there. Joanne?
I wanted to mention something today that struck me. I read today that the CEO of Nike took over as CEO of Nike in January of 2020. Think about that.
Oh, geez.
Think about what that new leader is facing into. It just struck me as, can you imagine being so excited to have a position like that and that responsibility, and then to face into life as we've become accustomed to it now almost. So what Neil said is absolutely true. We got to be ready for change at all times. And nothing about our current system is genetically defined. It's all subject to change and improvement. Change is scary, but we're in it together. And I would like to commend our teachers, our students, our community, everybody on this call, and just everybody out there for accommodating the change that we've lived through already, and looking forward to more change that's going to be positive. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Roger?
Yes, thank you, Israel. First, I'd like to thank all of our administration, our teachers, and students and parents. We're all in this together, really working hard to provide the best education that we can for all of our students. As I believe I mentioned before, this coronavirus pandemic has been thrust upon us, not by anyone's choosing. So we have an opportunity and a need to respond to it and still educate all of our students. So I wanted to first thank everyone that's a part of our overall Wiseburn team for all of their individual and collective efforts. Thank you very much for that. We do have some other items I'd like to just briefly touch base on in light of what we're all going through. Wanted to see if I could get a quick update later in maybe in Dr. Silvers' remarks, where we stand with the Dana promotion, if we are looking at doing something in terms of like a virtual promotion ceremony. I know we've done an actual event in the past, but given our current situation, we're obviously not able to do gatherings. I know Da Vinci is planning their virtual graduations for design, communications, and science on Thursday, June 11th. And DV Connect is planning for their 8th grade class, also a virtual ceremony on Friday, June 5th. So I wanted to just share those dates as well. And then just a couple of things on regarding the financial impact. And I know we'll be receiving an update later from David Wilson. I had the opportunity to attend a webinar yesterday for CSBA, the California School Boards Association, for our local region. There was many districts trustees that attended. We had LAUSD, Torrance, Santa Monica, Lawndale, Downey, Palos Verdes, El Segundo, Centinela Valley, Beverly Hills, and many, many others. I think we all recognize we're not in this alone, and all of these districts are facing daunting challenges as well with regards to their budgets. So we're going to have to make some very difficult choices in the future, depending on what comes out of the May revise and the final numbers we get from the state. So I'm looking forward to an in-depth conversation over the next few weeks, because to try to come up with a plan as we move forward, because it's not going to be a quick decision. Some very important decisions and considerations we need to take into account as we move forward. And the last thing, as we talk about the financials, Dave, if you could give us in your prepared, or if you can, an update on the finances with regards to the CARES Act. If Wiseburn, if we qualified for any funding from the CARES Act, I'd be very interested to hear about that as well. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Nelson?
Well, I think it's been very well communicated. Been very well and eloquently relayed by Neil Goldman and Joanne and Roger in terms of the comments and the challenging times that we're going through. So I'll keep mine short, and I will just say this from my perspective is these are obviously challenging times, but I wouldn't want to do this with any other group than the group right here. We're in it together. And with this group, I know that we can overcome anything. And that extends also to our Wiseburn community, who is so supportive. So we're in it together and we will move forward.
Thank you, Nelson. And I would just say that Nelson nailed it on the head. I want to thank everyone, a very hardworking group, very dedicated group. And each and every one of you, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. And we'll keep it very positive and do the best we can for our kids, as we always have. So that's the way we work around here. So thank you. From the Chief Business Official, David? Unmute. There you go.
A couple updates. So let me give you an update on the Del Air preschool project. Over the last couple of weeks, 8 new doors, two per the 4 classrooms were installed, bringing the egress and ingress up to current building codes. The metal shed is about 90% dismantled and expected to be completely removed by the end of May. After the removal of the shed, Bill's planning on the rough-in for plumbing and electrical. He'll schedule that shortly. The caseworks and the cabinets in the 4 classrooms are about 90% done. Once they're completed, I think it's expected to be at the end of next week. We're gonna have a plumber come in, and he's already delivered the materials. Once the casework is complete, he's gonna install sinks and faucets, probably by the first week of June. And then once that's done, we're gonna have a painter come in and do the final touch-up and also paint the 8 new doors. We've been working with SKC, the modular company, still expected to have a delivery in early August. Once we have that delivered, Bill will schedule the fire alarm and security systems to be installed. And so far we're on schedule to have everything ready for opening in early August. So good news, we're making progress and on schedule. Before I get to the May revise, Roger, the CARES Act, we're expected to get about $240,000 in CARES Act, and it was being allocated based on Title I allocations. So expect to get that in May sometime, and again to about $240,000, and it's unrestricted to be used, as best the district sees fit. So when we receive that, I'll definitely update the board and let them know. So the May revise was released today. Not a lot of time to dissect it. And there's a lot of different people talking about what they expect it to be. So basically, in a nutshell, Governor Newsom is proposing about $203 billion budget, which is about $19 billion less than his January budget proposal. The Department of Finance projects nearly a $10 billion drop in tax revenues to the end of the current fiscal year. And next year, it's supposed to be 3 times that amount. So 2021 looking very dire as of right now. What I have been hearing, it's not official, but the May revise is proposing to keep the current year 1920 as hold harmless, not to cut any funding. And Governor Newsom is also proposing a series of spending cuts, and the numbers differing. I've been hearing 6.5 billion. I've been hearing up to 14 billion. That will be canceled if sufficient extra funds are not provided from the federal government. So again, really putting the onus on our recovery on the federal government. And, obviously we can't bank on that. And so we're going to have to be very proactive in how we're budgeting for 2021. Newsom's also proposing to use about $8 billion in the state's rainy day fund and using the remaining balance to cover the 3-year period. And so not using all the rainy day funds in 1 year, but kind of stretching it out over a 3-year period. Good news, if there is good news, they're proposing to reduce the STRS contribution from 18.41, which was statutory next year, down to 16.15%. Same with PERS. The statutory number next year was going to be 22.67%, reducing that down to 20.7%. So good news there. Definitely some cost savings for the district. I'll have to run the numbers and see what that means. I'm projecting in the $150,000 to $250,000 range combined. They are talking cash deferrals and as soon as a June deferral to a July. Our June apportionment is scheduled to be about $900,000. And so already looking at cash flow assumptions for next year, we're working with the county to make sure we can get some money as early as July 1. They have a county treasury schools pool that we can access. I'm sure a lot of other districts are going to be looking to access that money. So we want to make sure we're first in line. And then also looking at a possible trans later in the year in August, September, October trans. So they're talking current year deferrals. Also next year, they're talking intra-year deferrals to the total of $3.4 billion. And what that could be, like in the Great Recession, it could have been a partial September to a January deferral, or a partial February to an April deferral. So cash is going to become very key. We're going to have to really watch our cash levels to make sure that we're still cash solvent. Bad news is the $250 million that he proposed in the one-time funds for preschoolers with disabilities. That was projected to get about $125,000 in one-time funds for Wiseburn, is now off the table. And then there's also a proposal for a one-time investment, about $4.4 billion to be allocated to LEAs that are going to offer classroom-based instruction. And it's going to be a formula to take into account students with disabilities, low-income students, English learners, foster youth, homeless youth. So this is just like the real first look at it. We're going to the school services May revise workshop on Tuesday morning, and we'll have a lot more information by then. So to be continued.
Thank you, David. From the Assistant Superintendent, Student Services.
Right, good evening. So on the note of positive, I reflected when you were speaking, Dr. Goldman, about something my grandmother once told me. And she says, we can't change the direction of the wind, but we can change our sails to navigate through, over, under, near, whatever they will be. And I think this last week, with lots of different news and things that are outside of our control, we need to all reflect on our attitudes towards it. And I agree with you wholeheartedly about opportunity. So with that, I want to share that May is Mental Health Month. So I think last report out, we talked about our Strive to Thrive Mental Health Virtual Fair, which went out. It was our joint project with Da Vinci Schools. And so I'm happy to announce it's up and running and had many hits. I don't have the calculation of how many folks opened the fair site and accessed resources, but I did receive several calls and emails saying, thank you so much for doing this. It really puts the forefront of what we need in our community to continue to pull together to give resources. Additionally, our care team, as I mentioned, was doing a series of taped mental health kind of supports to parents, parent workshops. They've now done 3 live workshops, finished one today on anxiety. So a total of 3 to date: self-care, adjusting with grief and loss, which we're all experiencing now with change, grieving schools and work and all kinds of things. And so about 60 parents thus far have taken advantage of the 3 workshops. We're doing another one on behavior management, working with our South Bay chapter of some of our groups. We're also doing a Spanish speaking one in this next several weeks. And so again, I want to compliment our counselors at the middle school, our care team, for really working collaboratively to get these off and running, and working with our parents who are also really having to dig deep and try new things for the first time. So I'm glad to see that people are accessing our resources, and our teams are really out there supporting our kids. Lastly, there's just one announcement, another positive announcement. XQ Super Schools is supporting one of our family DV Rise programs. So 8 o'clock on Saturday evening will be a special show celebrating some virtual graduations. So on that note, I know you had a question about graduations, but if you have a chance to tune in, 8 p.m. on all the networks, they'll be celebrating some of our DV Rise teachers and staff. So hopefully we made the cut, and it's positive. LeBron James might be speaking, and former President Barack Obama might be there too. So I welcome you all to tune in if you're able to, and celebrate with us our local community.
Was that sent to all the board members?
I just sent it again.
Okay, thank you.
Just right
I know I
before we
received it from Da Vinci, but I wasn't sure if everybody else got it.
You should have just received it about. Great,
Appreciate
thank
it
you.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Mary.
you.
All right, from the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, Eileen.
You're on mute.
I'm on mute. Good evening. I want to provide some background tonight on a revised grading policy that's being considered tonight for our students. Back on March 13th, when the Weisburn teaching staff transitioned in just a few days from live classroom instruction to 100% distance learning model, our teachers immediately began to focus on keeping our students learning and connected to school. Our emphasis back in March was connection, not collection. Just a few weeks later, when we understood that schools would not reopen prior to the end of the year, we began the process of determining our best approach to an equitable grading practice for all students. The school closure grading policy is the result of guidance from the California Department of Education, which emphasizes the importance of equity and holding students harmless in the area of grading and school closure. It's also the result of collaboration and huge efforts between our staff and our principals, our guiding coalitions, principals, district level administration, and more. We also were able to put out a survey to our staff on this topic and receive their feedback. So several ways of getting feedback from the staff. We also consulted with Da Vinci High Schools and our local district administrators, as well as the LA County Office of Education. So I want to emphasize that this policy, this revised policy, is only temporary for grading that extends through just June 30th, 2020. Next year, if we do go to a distance learning model, we'll have to come back and look at our grading policy again. So this is just for the next few months, but we're satisfied that this does offer our kids a chance to learn with in their own individual access, having their own individual access, which is not even across the board. It also allows our teachers to focus on learning, teaching and learning, as opposed to trying to generate a grade. Can I add one thing? Any questions on that? No. Can I add one thing? I had the opportunity to go into Dorothy Sweeney's class just last week. And, you know, when you have a teacher that's been teaching that long in a distance learning, you know, she invited me in and it was absolutely a blast. And she was teaching and using Zoom and doing breakout rooms. She had me go in a breakout room with the kids, a group of kids. And it was just masterful. And I was just so pleased to see her in her element, even, you know, so far from her, from the classroom. So really great news from Dorothy.
Big loss.
And that's my report.
Okay, we were muted once again. So Eileen, thank you very much. And from the superintendent, Blake.
Thank you, Mr. Mora. I just want to also extend a thank you to everybody. I know that, you know, these are tough times, and thank you to the clerical staff, our support staff, our custodial staff. You know, we talked about our food service workers who are our hunger heroes right now. You know, we're referring to, they're the ones that are on the front lines, handing out food to our students every day, and really bringing a smile to the face of our students who aren't, who are locked, you know, at home too, or the stay-at-home order as well. So I just want to thank all those folks too, and to thank our teachers and our administrative staff for all the support. We wouldn't be where we are today collectively if it wasn't for everybody. So thank you for that. Several things to share out today. First, Roger, to answer your question about promotion, it is an ongoing discussion at this point. I'll say as a father of an 8th grader, I'm also really interested in what's going to happen with the 8th grade Dana promotion. And I know Eileen is working hard with Kiana right now and trying to determine what the best way to honor our 8th grade classes this year. Certainly it's atypical, but it's something that we're looking to do. So I'll get back to you on that and the board with a bit of an update. Also, you know, I'm going to echo what Dave said, that as the 150-page May revise came out today, it was a bit hard to digest and analyze in just a few hours. But you know, what we're looking at is schools that were faced already prior to COVID with some economic challenges moving into the next year are now looking at more serious challenges with COVID and obviously the fiscal impact that COVID will have on the entire world economy. You know, schools prior to this were looking at layoffs and program cuts and such, and districts were looking at those things. And now, obviously with COVID, just the numbers are staggering. But again, you know, we work together and we'll figure it out. And I do appreciate, you know, what the board said is that it's going to be a team effort as we move through this. I also want to touch on preschool. Dave shared the facility side of it. I also want to share that as we've transitioned students and teachers and staff online, to remote, distance learning and distance working, our online enrollment for preschool and our CDC program has also flourished, and we've started to accept enrollment only through My School Bucks. We're not utilizing checks or cash anymore. Again, trying to utilize more 21st century tools. And that's been highly successful. Now, I do want to thank the community for their patience. Of course, when you make such a huge transition, there's going to be some hiccups, and there were. And I would say that thank you to the staff who's helped move this process forward. But the numbers look very strong in both our CDC program and our preschool program, and we're excited about that moving forward. I've also had the pleasure of serving with a group of 50 educators, 24 of them superintendents in LA County, as part of the Los Angeles County Office of Education Task Force on Reopening of Schools for Fall 2020-2021. And as we speak, information is now being disseminated to the 80 superintendents across the county and other educational leaders to start providing feedback on that framework that will then be disseminated to school districts so they can begin planning for the next school year, which we know will look widely different than it was. So with that being said, I think it's time that we consider a Wiseburn local reopening task force. So I'm going to, start engaging some of our stakeholders locally. And what I'm wanting to call it is the Wiseburn Reopening Advisory Partnership, or another acronym called WRAP, W-R-A-P. And I want to focus our efforts on our local circumstances, adjusting the LACO framework that's being created by districts. And it's expected that we adjust it for our local circumstances to ensure that the categories that we address, the areas that we address as we move into discussions of next year are cogent and impactful to our school community. At the top of this list, I believe, is health and safety of our students, our staff, our community members, obviously during this time. Operations and facilities is important, how we're going to utilize and leverage our facilities and then adjust our operations. Instruction is key, but again, a lot of these things don't happen without health and safety being a bookmark there. We have to take into consideration the fiscal outlook, and so that would be another major topic. And something that may not have been fully spelled out in the framework, it was more incorporated into one of the categories, is the special education students and our students with special needs, our EL students, and other students that are participating in specialized programs like GATE. So I just want to share that those are important topics that we'll have to look at as we move into the reorganization plan, or the reopening plan, I'm sorry. So what does all this mean? Basically, it means that we're going to have to adjust to these challenges. We're facing a year that's unprecedented. But we've been collaborative to the best of our ability. Our WFA and CSEA partners have been incredible through this, and we've learned quite a bit through this 7-week, 8-week process now. We're going to leverage what we learned. We're going to work with our reopening task force with our team, and then we're going to shore up our programs for next year so that we can, again, make sure that our operations and our practices don't look the same, that we're able to adjust them because they can't look the same, but make sure that they're still high quality for our students and our families. So definitely some adjustment as we move forward. We're going to be greatly hampered by funding, and we're also going to be greatly hampered by this continued threat of the COVID virus, especially since there's no vaccine and no treatment for the virus as of yet. I do remain optimistic. I'm continually optimistic. I feel it's really important. I think, as Neil shared too, to just have a mindset of growth mindset moving forward. We're going to continue to ensure that all students have access, and that's really critical. Is that we're looking at all of our students, ensuring that they have access. The reality is that we're amidst a pandemic that has no treatment, as I said, and so we need to be very judicious with how we bring our staff and students back to school. So, the reality of things being normal or what we would perceive as normal is just not going to happen. So we have to look at all the cards in the deck and figure out the best cards to play as we move forward in the interest of student learning. We need to ensure equitable access to learning as well. Moving away from the pandemic and next year, obviously there's going to be a lot of discussions on that as well. I had the pleasure, I should say, of meeting with LPA today, the team that's working our facilities master plan. You know, there's other things. I know it's hard, but there's other things going on other than the pandemic right now, and where we're continuing to do really good things. And LPA is looking to. We did ask, and I'd like the board to consider, and maybe we can talk about this at the next board meeting. But at the last workshop, there were 2 buildings that were on the, I'm going to call it the east side of Dana Middle School, and there were 2 fitness rooms. I'd like to suggest or recommend to the board that maybe one of those fitness rooms be turned into a STEM lab, or actually we would be able to expand our STEM lab on the main campus, and then move our music room back, or keep our music room essentially out there on the playground. So as we start these conversations with LPA, I'll certainly bring this back to the board as you all will see the final master plan. But I just wanted to share that was part of our conversation today. And I would say on a happier note, today I was able to join one of our special education teams, Alice Davis, Stacy Shepard, who's one of our speech and language pathologists, and Jessica Wright, an RSP teacher at Dana Middle School. This is a Dana Middle School team and their group of paraprofessionals as they led a Zoom class with a group of their students. And, you know, I'll tell you, the students were happy. The parents were there. You could see them in the background, kind of helping their students, you know, navigate Zoom. And it was really a nice sight to see. So, you know, I want to thank that team, but really it speaks to all the many things that are going on in our district that we don't see. And this was a chance for me to sort of peek behind the curtain, if you will. It just nice community of learners and teachers, and just brought a smile to my face. So I want to thank them for that. And that's all I have today, Mr. Mora.
That's all, Blake?
That's it.
All right, thank you. And I think Kathy deserves a thank you on the last statement as well with her team. And of course, Mary as well. Let's move forward on the minutes. If everyone's okay, we'd like the motion for 5.1 to 5.3 to approve minutes.
A motion.
Motion Joanne, second Roger.
And Neil.
Neil, all right, Neil, all right. All those.
Aye.
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 Second with the
Supposed to
mute.
wave, Wendy, or you want an aye?
Yep.
Which do you want?
That's fine. You can say aye and I'll call the names. Mr. Banuelos, wave.
Aye.
Dr. Goldman, wave. Ms. Canetta, wave. Mr. Martinez, and Mr. Mora.
All right. Action items 6.1 to 6. You okay taking these together, or do you want them separate?
Together is fine.
Okay, a motion, please, 6.1 to 6.9.
I will motion.
Nelson?
I will second.
Thank you, Roger. Any questions?
Just a
Just
comment.
have one comment.
Go ahead, Roger.
On item 6.4, this is with regards to the grading. I'd like to thank Eileen Harbeck, and and everyone that contributed here, and obviously Dr. Blake Silvers for coming up with what I think is a resolution on something that's very challenging to everyone. There's probably no 100% proof or right answer for this grading during the period that we're going through. But thank you for incorporating the board's comments, the parents' comments, and our teachers and students. I know it's very inclusive, a very thorough review of this. I'm very supportive of the hold students harmless concept, because if a student was struggling or not progressing at the pace that they would have been at the time of the pandemic, going through a hard percentage or a hard grading system would have deprived them of an opportunity to actually correct that. So holding them harmless is, I think, the right way to go. And I would also like to say thank you for incorporating the framework provided for our teachers to give some overall comments that I think will be very useful for parents, the students, even that will accompany the grading, and it's not just a standalone pass or no pass. So thank you again, Dr. Harbeck, for all the hard work that went into this. Just wanted to say, recognize your efforts and say thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I also want to comment on item 6.9, which is the resolution for proclaiming next week the week of the classified employee. And do a special shout out to that group of our employees who are working throughout this pandemic to keep our staff safe and able to work, and keeping themselves healthy and taking care of their families and all the things they have to do. Special recognition to that group of our employees, especially for next week.
Absolutely.
Indeed, and a shout out, if I may, to 6.8. Yesterday was California Day of the Teacher. As far as I'm concerned, every day is the California Day of the Teacher. So here to our teachers. And again, as Joanne said, to classified school employees. It doesn't happen without you guys. Here, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I'd like to call the question 6.1 to 6.9. All those in favor say aye.
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 Mr. Banuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Caneda,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
and Mr. Mora. Thank you.
All right, moving on. 7.1, approved budget to the Local Funding Authority, LCFA. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Joanne. Second.
I will second.
Thank you, Nelson. Any questions, comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Martinez, I'm sorry, Mr. Banuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Caneda, Mr. Martinez, and
Aye.
Mr. Mora. Okay,
Thank you. 7.2, which is approving delinquent tax receivables. Motion, please.
A motion to approve?
Second.
Looked like Neil was going to second, but I'll second.
All right. Dave, do you want to give us a quick explanation
I
of
would ask
this
a
one?
question. Thank you, Joe.
I'd be happy to. So we've been using this JPA since I think 2002, if not before then. And what they do is I think they're pretty much doing it all throughout all of LA County. And they partner with school districts. We hand over our rights to delinquent property taxes, and they give us a premium on that. So for instance, if we have $100,000 in delinquent property taxes, they can pay no less than 10%. So they give us $10,000 for those delinquent taxes. Now, I don't know what their business plan model that they use. They probably settle with the county treasurer tax collector on pennies on the dollar, and then collect, or sell those rights to a collection agency that goes and collects. We're basically held harmless. So whatever we don't collect in delinquent property taxes, or if property taxes are decreased in value, the state makes up the difference. So this is really at no loss to the district. This is only a benefit in getting unrestricted dollars to booster our revenues.
Just a comment, if I may. So it sounds like we're factoring our receivables effectively. And
yeah,
factoring at 10 cents on the dollar seems incredibly like we could be getting more. And I don't know if there's other providers we could look at that, but I was disappointed in that number.
I can certainly look and ask around if there's other providers. I think LACO might know if there is. And then if there are, we could certainly see what those returns are on that.
Is there any timing issue? Can we wait can we pull this and approve it next time?
I think there is a timing issue, but I believe if we wait till May 28th, we're still under that window. I think they wanted it back by like the second week of June.
I would love that if there is an opportunity, if we get 40 cents on the dollar, that's 30,000 more, whatever it is.
I'll look into
Right.
it.
Nothing, it's nothing, but for me, it's worth a shot.
It sounds like everybody's okay to pull this 7.2 to May 28th, and we'll see, David, if you have any options then.
Will
Okay?
do. Yep.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay.
All right,
Okay, cool.
moving on, action items, consent items, 8.1 to 8.6. Motion, please.
Oh,
I'll motion. I'll second that.
Joanne? All right, Joanne second, Neil first. Any questions? Calling the
No.
question. All those in favor?
Wendy.
Mr. Banuelos,
Yes.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Caneda,
Yes, aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Yes. All right, thank you. Moving on. 9.1 personnel to 9.8. Now I want to call a correction to 9.7. So that's a job description and salary schedule for the Director of Student Support Services. That would begin June 1st, not July 1st. So motioning 9.1 to 9.8 with the correction to 9.7. Motion, please.
I would like to pull 9.2 and 9.3.
Hey, thank you, thank you.
Actually, we just can vote them down and they can't leave.
Mary and Kathy, I don't know what you're going to do, but you can't leave.
All right, you're absolutely correct, Roger. Let's do 9.1 and then 9.4 through 9. With the change to 9.7. Can I get a motion?
So moved, 9.1 to 9.4 on with the change to 9.7.
Thank you. Thank you, Nelson. Calling the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Benuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Kaneda,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, 9.2. I would like to deny the presentation of Ms. Mary Rain. Is that possible, Mary? Has that ever happened?
You have a second.
You have a second.
Again, I want to thank the board for the opportunity that I've had these last several years coming back to Wiseburn, doing all the great work that we have done together. I'm not very far away, as I shared at the last meeting. I'm always here in heart and soul for Wiseburn. Being part of the Da Vinci Rise program is something that I think Wiseburn appreciates and understands. My reasoning for leaving, so bittersweet, but I want to thank you for all of the high quality programming that we've done together, all of the great work the board has supported all of administration on over these years. And I know you will continue to do so, and your trust in me as a professional to lead and provide change and do all the great work we've done is unbelievable, and forever I'll be grateful. So thank you so much for the opportunity. And as I said, I'm very close by, so we don't always go away. We just move to other positions. So thank you.
Just reinvent yourselves, that's all.
Yeah. Just a comment.
Mary, I want to give you a special thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, it's been great working with you for so many years. I feel like you've been here the whole 20, like you never left.
Right.
So I wish you the best. Where will your office be? Are you going to be in the same building?
It will still be at 201, especially
Okay.
now.
All right.
We are opening a third site in Culver City that I'm visiting tomorrow, but I believe I'll be housed here and then satelliting out to the 3 sites more in October when our principal takes a leave. So, but I'll be right here helping as organization change and growth happens. I'll be more than happy to assist.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Silverstein.
Neil, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just Mary, Dr. Rain, God bless you. You have been a gift. Helen Bell, the former principal of Anza, was the first person I met at Wiseburn. And the second person I met was Dr. Ring back in 1847. She looked fantastic. The description I had of you was this amazing individual that is able to calm people and make people come together and not seek terrible outcomes, but collaborative outcomes. And that's just been the story of your career. And God bless you for all you've done. You are a gift, Mary. We will miss you dearly. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak?
Yes. Mary and Kathy, I would just like to say thank you very much for all your dedication and service to Wiseburn. Thank you for taking such great care of our students, in particular with special needs, and for facilitating the many, many difficult conversations with parents and students, and for guiding us, guiding the board in a lot of challenges over the years. Very, very grateful. So thank you. You will, even though Mary, you're not going very far, Kathy, I believe, is retiring. So you will both be missed. Even from a day-to-day basis. So thank you again, and best wishes in your next adventure, I'll call it. Thank you again.
I just want to say thank you to all of the board members, Dr. Silvers as well, for all that you've done to support our, as I said, I think in my letter, our most vulnerable population. I don't think that I've ever recalled a time when you have not supported an initiative or any type of board item that was for the best interest of that population. And I really want to thank you for your support of me and really of our special ed programs. And I will really miss being a part of the Wiseburn community. I really will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, you don't have to go far. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
Let me go so we defer to you, but if we're talking about Kathy, I want to also thank you. There's something special about you, Kathy, that I've enjoyed every time I walk by your desk, despite what's happening. It's this ambiance of love and a smile. And I know you've had some tough days and you have dealt with some really big challenges, and doesn't matter, always an ambiance, an aura of love and a smile. Thank you for all you've brought to us for these many years. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Blake, did you want to speak?
I said, wow, this is hard. Mary and Kathy in the same year. This is certainly a challenge, for district. Mary, I just want to, really thank you for, I agree with the comments, for your confidence, for being a confidant, being able to help guide and steer, our district through some very difficult situations. And Kathy, you as well have always been a true colleague, a mentor in a lot of ways, and I truly appreciate that. So, I wish you both nothing but the best. Mary, I hope you stop by every once in a while and say, hey, and Kathy, don't be too far and don't forget about us. But I do thank you from the bottom of my heart to both of you.
Thank you, Blake.
When we can, we need to do a happy hour, folks, and really celebrate this. And Kathy, I cannot say Neil nailed it, because there was never a day I didn't walk by your office that I didn't get a big smile and a great hello. And you radiate positive energy, and we're going to miss that very much. Take good care of yourself and your family, and I hope things go well for both of you.
Yes.
And Israel said the key word, family, because that's what we are. And I think we will continue to be family. And whenever family moves away or goes off to do other things, goes away to school or gets a job out of town or whatever, we always keep in touch. And so I'd like to make sure that as this Wiseburn family that we are, that we keep in touch. And thank you so much for all your contributions, because salary doesn't even begin to cover the time and energy, and as Neil pointed out, the love that went into the work you do. So thank you once again, and as family, keep in touch.
I also wanted to say just a few words here. I also wanted to thank Mary and Kathy for your hard work and passion, and really your leadership in the special ed program and serving our students here at Wiseburn. So thank you both. I certainly agree with Joanne. You always have a home here at Wiseburn. And I want to wish the both of you just the best in your next phase of life in terms of what you're doing. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I'm going to call the question 9.2 and 9.3 to accept resignation of Ms. Mary Pendergast Ring and Ms. Kathy Waller Reese. I would need a motion, please.
Somebody else is going to have the motion.
Yeah, no, not me either, no.
I'd like to make a motion to reject.
All right, I will motion. Anyone get a second, please?
In their behalf, second. You bet.
Thank you, Neil. So as you can all tell, begrudgingly, all those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Benwillows.
Roll call?
Aye.
Real quickly, Mr. Benwillows,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Kaneda,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
No. Just
Mr.
kidding.
Mora. Mr. Mora.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.
There it was a 4-1 vote.
Thank you again, both. Thank you.
All right. Moving forward. That's it. We go to closed session. Do we have any dates or anything you guys want to announce? I guess there's all the graduation dates. Wendy, if you could gather all the dates again, both Da Vinci and Dana, and send those out, I'd appreciate it. I know Da Vinci just sent them out recently, and there's one this Saturday for
Rise.
at 8 o'clock. So if anybody wants to join that. And then there's another one the Saturday following for, I believe it's Connect. So those are the first two. And then in June, you've got the regular high schools, the three.
So just a correction, RISE is going to be on the 12th, but Saturday is RISE staff are being celebrated in our national program. But thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a celebration of a lot of national schools, but RISE will be honored at it with some of the staff and students, but our graduation at RISE is on the 12th.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Virtual graduation. We'll send you an invitation.
All right. Anything else, Blake? All right, so we'll take 10 minutes. It's now 8 o'clock. So at 8:10, we'll do the second closed.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Kathy and Mary, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Like, do you need me in second?